Suicide Clyde, written by Daddy Creeps. As a kid, I always loved stuntmen. Evel Knievel was my personal favorite. I remember watching him on TV as he jumped over cars and exploding through fiery hoops like a bat out of hell. I would go outside on my 10-speed bike and set up ramps and try to jump over bricks or small boxes. I still have many scars on my legs and arms to prove my stuntman endeavors. But that was a fantasy, a childhood dream that never really came true. Now my reality is far more worse. I'm a struggling 9-to-5 worker, barely making ends meet. I work in a slaughterhouse, packing and moving raw meat every day. And unfortunately, today was my last day due to budget cuts. Last man in, first man out. That's what the manager explained to me as he handed me my last paycheck. I took the long way home. I was trying to buy enough time to come up with a way to explain to my pregnant wife that I was laid off again. My beautiful wife, Laura, was 7 months pregnant. She worked for as long as she could before the doctor shut her down. I had made just enough money to pay for this month's rent, and that's it. As my thoughts raced about how to come up with some money, my car began to sputter and shake. I was able to pull off just before my car decided to say, "No mas." I slammed my fist on the steering wheel. "Shit!" I yelled. Fortunately for me, I wasn't far from home, so I walked the rest of the way. I got home and tried to sneak my way through the door. I didn't have the heart to tell my wife I lost my job. As soon as I closed the door, I began to switch the 500 locks I had on my door. We lived in a less savory neighborhood. My wife heard me locking the door like a guard in a prison. "Hey, honey, you're home early." She waddled over to me and kissed me softly on my lips. "Hi," was all I said blankly. "What's wrong? Who pissed on your lunch this afternoon?" Laura laughed. The look on my face said this isn't a laughing matter. Her smile immediately disappeared and was replaced with the face of worry. "Are you okay?" "Honey, there's no right way to tell you this, so I'm just going to tell you straight out. I got laid off today," I said, holding her hand. "Clyde, what happened?" "Well, the company lost a lot of money after that big accident. I was the last person hired, so," I said snarkily. "What are we going to do? I can't go back to work. The doctor won't let me. And unemployment is just not enough to cover all of our expenses." "Don't you think I'm aware of that shit, Laura?" I snapped. "I'm sorry, Laura. I didn't mean to snap at you. Don't worry about it. You worrying is not good for you or my baby boy." I grabbed her and kissed her cheek. "We will be okay, Laura." She hugged me tight. "I have faith in you, Clyde. And I love you too." She waddled into the kitchen, and I had to get out of the house. The thought of disappointing my wife was breaking my heart. I couldn't look her in the face until I came up with a plan. "Honey, I have my last check. I'm gonna go cash it and get some groceries, okay?" "Okay, babe, be careful." I headed to the check cashing place about 4 blocks away from my apartment. I was able to cash my check quickly. I collected my cash and headed to the market to pick up some groceries. My mind was in a daze and my head was spinning. It got dark pretty quickly as I walked down the street next to the abandoned building. I ran into a short, scruffy-looking man. He stopped in front of me and grabbed my arm and pulled me off to the side next to the old building. The man pulled a gun on me. and told me to be quiet as he violently went through my pockets. He grabbed the money I had in my pocket, the last of my final paycheck. No, there was no way I couldn't let this man take the last of my money. So I fought back. I grabbed the gun and we began to tussle. He was stronger than I thought. He got the upper hand. He pushed me away and fired twice and ran off with my money. I felt two burning sensations, one in my stomach and the other in my chest. I fell to the ground. I grabbed my stomach and felt the blood rushing from my gut. I laid back down. The pavement felt cold as ice. I started to get weak and fade. My last thoughts was of my wife and my unborn son. The street began to turn black. But off to my right, that particular back was darker than your normal black. It began to take shape as it moved closer to me. The shape looked like a medium-sized man wearing an all-black raincoat with a hood on. It had no face, no arms or legs. It only had two red glowing eyes. The dark figure finally spoke to me. Clyde, I have a proposition for you, the figure said in a scratchy, low voice. Who are you? Are you here to take me to hell or something? I asked. No, I'm here to give you a choice, Clyde. Well, what kind of choice? Clyde, you are going to die. I can't tell you if you're going to heaven or hell. I don't have that information. What I do offer you is 7 years of immortality. You can fix your life, a second chance to make amends. I thought about my wife and my baby. What would happen if I died? Who would provide for them or protect them? I want to see my family. Please, don't let me die. The figure eyes glowed even brighter. I must warn you, it is a life force for a life force. After the 7 years, I will collect my life force. Do you agree to the terms? Yes. Please don't let me die. The whole street went black and I passed out. When I woke up, I was walking down the street again, and that same man pulled a gun on me and tried to rob me. Everything happened all over again, but this time when the man fired, the bullets bounced right off me. We both stood in utter shock. He went to fire again, but I was able to knock the gun out of his hands and gave him a right hook and knocked him cold out. A police car rolled up and the officer came over to me. You're a hero, he said, as he shook my hand. We've been looking for this guy for 2 weeks. He's a stone cold killer. He's murdered 4 people and counting. You must have a death wish or something to go at this guy by yourself. What's your name, buddy? Clyde, I said. Suicide Clyde, the officer said. Well, let's get this scum out of here. Thanks again, Clyde. The officer shook my hand and walked away. I felt amazing. By the time I got home, there was a reporter on my phone asking to come down to speak with me. It was exciting to have my 15 minutes of fame. Most important, I was able to look my wife in the eyes again and be proud. I could hardly sleep that night. I wanted to find a way to extend my 15 minutes of fame. Hell, if Paris Hilton can do it, so could I. I only had 7 years. If I needed to come up with a good plan, I could set my family up for life. Then if it finally hit me, I can't die, so why not become the next Evel Knievel? I can do any stunt I want and be successful. I'm immortal for 7 years. I just need a catchy name. Suicide Clyde, the name the officer gave me. Perfect. I planned my first stunt relatively quickly. My wife was not pleased, but once we got that first $100,000 check, she softened up somewhat. The crazier the stunts, the more money I got. Suicide Clyde became a household name. I was getting $2 million per stunt, not to mention the merchandising sales. I was easily bringing in millions. My son was born right after my first stunt. As much as my wife wanted me to stop, I couldn't. It wasn't about the money anymore. I was living a childhood dream. I accumulated millions. I had generational wealth. My last stunt I did was epic. I jumped the length of a football field over burning helicopters that were still spinning their blades. I cleared that bad boy with room to spare. My biggest payday yet, $20 million clean. And most importantly, I was my 7-year-old son's idol. He wanted to be just like me, and I loved it. Life was great. One night, I was sitting in my office going over some paperwork, and the room got dark. In the corner, the dark was darker than usual. The darkness began to move towards me, and I saw the red eyes begin to glow. Clyde, I see you have done well for yourself, that raspy voice said. Yeah, I have. My family's set for life. I know why you're here, I said, standing tall. 7 years is up. Sure flew by. But, I know. A life force for a life force. All I ask is that I'm able to say goodbye to my family. Please. Yes, you can say goodbye to your son. My heart dropped, and my blood ran cold. Why just my son? A life force for a life force. Your son's life force is strong. Children's life forces are the strongest. What do you mean? What does my son have to do with any of this? You see, Clyde, I'm a different type of entity. I feed off of children's life forces. They're so strong and sustaining. The only problem is I can't take a child's life force. It has to be given to me. And 7 years ago, when you made that pact, that's what you did. You signed over your son's life force to me. No, that wasn't the deal. You're supposed to take my life, not my son's. I never said what life force must be paid back. I just said a life force for your life force. Your son belongs to me. Wow. Great story, guys. Hope you guys really liked that story written by Daddy Creeps. So, more to that story is maybe next time we shouldn't be making deals with dark entities with red glowing eyes. That never goes well. So I hope you guys really like this story written by yours truly, Daddy Creeps. Like us on Facebook, and if you have a story that you want us to read, email us at familycreeps@gmail.com. Once again, that's familycreeps13, @gmail.com. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, guys, and stay creepy.